Welcome, all who come in friendship, who long for genuine community.
May you be graciously received here as your authentic self.
Welcome, who come in curiosity, full of questions, or simply open.
May you embrace wonder and encounter new delights.
Welcome, who come heavy with fatigue, weary from the troubles of the world or the troubles of your particular life.
May you rest and be filled in this sacred space.
Welcome, who come with joy for a beautiful wintry day, for changing skies and great trees.
May the grace of the world leave a lasting imprint on you.
Welcome, who come with thanks for the abundant generosity of the earth, the gift of human care and creative energy that enlivens us.
May your grateful heart overflow and bless those around you. Come,
Come,
let us
let's
celebrate
celebrate
together
together
this
this
wondrous
wondrous
life.
life. Good morning,
Good morning.
and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Society of Schenectady. My name is Robyn Salvin. She, her pronouns work for me, and I am serving as your worship associate beside the Reverend Lynn Gardner. She, they pronouns work for them. Today, we are exploring finding joy.
And now I invite you to receive the gift of your next breath and to settle more fully into your seat or wherever you find yourself as you attend this service via Zoom today. Sometimes I misplace things or leave things behind. I have some practices that help me be more conscious of where I'm setting something down or help me remember all the items that I want to have with me when I head out the door. Still, I spend more time than I would like trying to find my cell phone, my keys, a notebook, or other misplaced items. I don't really want to spend my time looking for things. The exception to that is time devoted to finding joy. Joy is a feeling that is worth some effort. Whether it is my own or the joy of those I love or care about, the experience of joy is worth devoting my time, my attention to discover or to create. And I think it's worth your time, our time too. Joy is part of this congregation's mission, as we shared during the new member recognition, along with compassion and justice, which means that folks here at UU Schenectady have thought that joy was worth working for, even as we hold space for all of our human emotions. And yet, sometimes I need to be reminded that joy is worth some effort. Maybe you too have had too many days where worries or the weight of the world filled your attention, creating tremendous stress or a sense of urgency that can be exhausting. Human beings have survived and evolved partly because of our ability to sense danger, anticipate threats, and plan for how to respond. Some of us have lived experience of needing to do that ourselves. Other things can seem to take priority over joy or delight, happiness or pleasure. So while it is understandable that our brains and the rest of our nervous system might amplify threats while minimizing joy, that isn't optimal for our well-being. And it doesn't have to be that way. Last week, Wendy quoted author and activist Adrienne Marie Brown. And these words are so very relevant to our theme this month that I share them again today. In their book, Pleasure Activism, Brown wrote, "Pleasure reminds us to enjoy being alive and on purpose. Pleasure, embodied, connected pleasure, is one of the ways we know when we are free, that we always have the power to co-create the world. Pleasure helps us move through times that are unfair, through grief and loneliness, through the terror of genocide, or days when the demands are just too overwhelming. Pleasure heals the places where our hearts and spirits get wounded. Pleasure reminds us that even in the dark, we are alive. Pleasure is a medicine for the suffering that is absolutely promised in life. Pleasure is the point. Feeling good is not frivolous, it is freedom." And so this morning, I offer 3 strategies for feeling good, for finding or creating joy. The first is to carve out space. Joy might need a little breathing room. For many Christian UUs, and for some of our Christian neighbors, relatives, and friends, this is the season of Advent, a time of waiting and preparation in the 4 weeks that precede Christmas. Advent is a time of hope and anticipation for what may be arriving, what will be born anew this winter season. In the Christian scriptures, a young Jewish couple are traveling and their baby is born in a stable where they have taken shelter. They carefully swaddle and snuggle the baby and then place him in a manger. In a class on historical Jesus, professor, author, and theologian Marcus Borg offered some insights as to what a manger would have looked like over 2,000 years ago in that part of the Middle East. Trees, other than those grown for food, were not plentiful. Stones were. Stones were used to create all kinds of things, including a place for hay or grain to feed the goats and the sheep and the cows. A manger then wasn't built up out of wood, as many nativity scenes might suggest. A manger was usually carved out of stone. If we imagine the preparation for that particular birth story, it required someone to carve out space, to carve stone, to make a space where there hadn't been space before. Joy might need such a space. When our daughter was young, it was a bit easier for me to carve out time and space for joy. It was a high priority to visit our favorite bakery for a cookie and a steaming cup of amazing hot chocolate, or devote an evening to enjoying holiday lights around town. When she was in high school and Wendy and I were in seminary, our lives were very full. Yet we made sure that we decorated our living evergreen Christmas tree together, as well as the potted Japanese maple that we brought inside each December to serve as our solstice tree. We carved out space for time together and to enjoy the music of the holiday season too. First, with our daughter's community children's choir on up through her high school choir performances. Joy, one song at a time. These days, carving out space looks different, yet it is no less valuable. We know that we are human beings, not human doings. I experience joy in the quiet of the mornings when I sip a cup of coffee by the lights of our Christmas tree and play Wordle or other games at the start of my day. I feel joy in the time I carve out for daily spiritual practices of yoga and poetry, feeling my feet on the mat and easing into the stretches and asanas that my body needs on that particular day. We carve out space for art and music and feel joy as young dancers bring the story of the Nutcracker to life on stage, or a chorus creates amazing harmonies, or we dance to some of our own favorite tunes in the kitchen. Last week, one of our fabulous young adults in the congregation let me know that she has been intentionally carving out time in her week to attend worship because it helps her feel better. However, you might carve out time and space for joy, remember that the time is worth it and that feeling good is not frivolous. Which brings us to the second strategy. Notice joy when it shows up. Close to 2,200 years ago, the Maccabees led a Jewish revolt against the Seleucid Empire in the lands of Palestine, Israel, and Judea. The fighting went on for almost 7 years, and during that time, many people died, and the Temple of Jerusalem was desecrated. When the Maccabees reclaimed the temple, they cleaned what they could and relit the lights in the Hanukkah, the sacred lamp that would usually have been kept burning. As the story goes, even though there was only a small amount of lamp oil, the lights stayed burning for 8 days until more oil could be obtained. And even with all the suffering and grief of war, someone noticed this miracle. Someone tended to that joy. Tonight, Jewish UUs and our Jewish friends and family and neighbors will light a candle for the first night of Hanukkah, giving their attention to that miracle and that joy. How often does the possibility of joy show up and we miss it because we're distracted or busy, or because we are maybe just a little bit afraid of letting ourselves really feel it? Brene Brown is a researcher and storyteller who has spent the last 20 years studying courage and vulnerability. In the research described in her new book, Strong Ground, she was surprised to learn that the only variable that predicted the ability for some people to lean into joy is how they respond to it. She says, when we feel joy, real joy, we get a quiver. Some people use that quiver as an alarm to start dress rehearsing tragedy, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But some people use that quiver as a reminder to be grateful and to practice gratitude in that moment. Of all the human emotions, joy is the most vulnerable, she says, because to feel joy and love is to risk loss. So here's the invitation. When you get that quiver of joy, when joy shows up, or when the possibility of joy shows up like the flash of a cardinal red in a tree and you aren't quite sure what to do, choose to receive a conscious breath. Note where you are, the sensations in your body, the miracle that you have found joy and that joy has found you. Offer some gratitude for all the yummy details that you can think of that moment. That helps put that specific experience of joy in your memory so that you're more likely to be able to find it later in a way that is nourishing to your whole being. Carve out space for joy and notice joy when it shows up, and create joy when you can. We each have the capacity to create. So let us choose to create joy. Now, I can hear some of you internally denying your creative capacity, but I am confident that it is there. You might create joy by going owling, like the dad and his young child in our story for all ages. I know some of you do go owling, and that brings me joy. Maybe we can take a lesson from the two awesome city workers who were picking up recycling this week while singing in blissful harmony. Sing joyfully in unexpected places. Maybe the joy you create will be a note that you include in a holiday card sent to someone who could really use to hear from you. They will be so happy. Maybe you find and create some unexpected joy at the holiday hangout. Maybe you will create joy within you when you stay home one night this week, choosing to skip an event but tending to your own sweet soul. It may not always be clear where our joy can be found or where it has come from. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk and teacher, said, "Sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy." And your joy and the joys of those you love is worth waiting for. It is worth finding and creating. In these tender and tumultuous times, it is an act of resistance to create joy. As our dear friend, Reverend David Miller, said this week, I will not, I shall not, I cannot let them rob me of my joy. Those who are bent on creating suffering do not lay claim to our hearts. So let us resist in all the ways we can through protest and advocacy and practicing community care. And let us resist by asserting that still there is joy. Let us carve out time and space for joy. Let us notice when it shows up in surprising and beautiful ways. Let us choose to create joy today and every day. Salam, Shalom, Ashe, Amen, Namaste, and blessed be.